Hello there, Virgos. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot forecast. This forecast is for the month of October. We are going to start with the time frame of the 1st through the 10th and break down the month into 3 other times after that. That'll give us a better sense of how the energy is flowing as we work through the month. So like to just be able to look at that more closely than just one overall glimpse for the whole month. I think this will give us a little bit more accuracy and in-depth knowledge to help us be more prepared to use these energies to our advantage or to turn these energies into something that we like better, whichever the case may be. I'm a big believer that information is power. The more information we have, the more power we have. That's also why I don't candy coat things, because I figure if I tell you the truth, you can work with that. All right, so Virgos, let's start with your environment during this time frame from the 1st to the 10th. It looks like you've got some roller coaster stuff happening in your environment. There's some kind of contract or commitment that has to do with your environment that I think is not a fair contract or commitment that you're making. And I think that you have taken the time to consider whether you want to make this contract or commitment. It feels to me like this is something that you're going back to. And I think that you've decided that you are going to make it. I think that you're aware that there's something in here that's not fair about it. But it feels to me like you want whatever is in this environment so much that you're willing to roll with that unfairness in part of that contract or agreement. Now, this could be that you want to share your environment with somebody and the agreement that you have is unfair about that. This could also be that the lease is not written in a fair way if you're leasing a home or if you're refinancing a home. This could be that the contract is more favors the other party than you. I mean, this could manifest in a lot of ways. But it looks to me, like I said, I think you've considered this contract or agreement and you've decided that even though it's not fair, you're moving forward with it. And that's something to do with your environment. All right. Next thing that we're going to look at, Virgo, talks to me about your subconscious leanings. What do we have here? Okay, so it looks to me like... I hate to say this, but I think subconsciously you're having a pity party because money has not been going the way that you've wanted it to lately, and it's kept you, the idea of fundulation basically has kept you away from reaching a target or a goal or a dream that you have. And so with your subconscious, that's odd that I don't see you actually looking for a solution to this situation as much as I see you doing a pity party around this situation. So I think that you're in quite the state, really, of depression, because usually the subconscious is always looking for a solution, looking for a way forward. In this case, this is all about pity party, poor me. And so, you know, I can only advise that if you feel this energy coming in, you want to try and steer it in a different direction, because pity parties overall just are not productive and they feel kind of yucky, even though, you know, we feel like they're justified. They do feel kind of yucky. I want to focus on other things. Solutions. Solutions. We want to look at solutions, Virgo. All right, so what I'm looking at next talks to me about learning style and also communication style during this time frame. We are going to start with learning style. You are learning a whole lot. I think curiosity is leading you to learn a whole lot. I think you're doing some different things, and that's causing you to learn a whole lot as you go. Definitely. Some of you may even be finding out, and this isn't going to be for everybody, but a good percentage of you are finding out about herbs and maybe even essential oils and how to use things that are natural for different purposes. I was going to say for medicinal, but I think there's also some other purposes coming along, showing up here too as well. Okay, so let's look at communication style during this time frame. You have some big variations in your communication style. So some people, you're communicating very much with them. They kind of have the full scoop on everything going on in your life. Other people, you're kind of keeping them in the dark. They're more of on a need-to-know basis. Whatever they need to know, they'll know. Nothing more, nothing less type of thing. I think they may have been on a need-to-know basis for quite a while right now. And then you do have other people in your sphere of influence who are receiving your communication in a very dressed up way. So you could be sending out resumes, or there could be somebody around that you're just very careful about how you say things to them so that you don't leave a wrong impression, or so that you make the best impression. You may be trying to make a first impression on somebody who could be an important influence in your life during this time frame. Very interesting. Wide variety of communication styles going on all at the same time frame. La da 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 da, Virgos. Next thing we're looking at is work. Does look like you're going back to work. You're going back to work, and I think that you're actually liking going back to work, but at the same time I think you're also sort of missing the idea of not being there. You're kind of missing that lifestyle of not being at work as you go back to work. But there's definitely mixed emotions here, because we also see that you're happy about going back as well. Bum, 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 bum. It comes across as a big adventure, so obviously some things have changed. So that's kind of interesting. I think that's sort of keeping you on your toes. Let's look at inner work. Forgot to tell you guys, if you don't know, those of you who have been watching me a while, y'all know this, but for me, work is always two different things. There's always the work that we do to make a living or to feel productive in the community, and then there's also that inner work that we do to make us feel happier with our own self. So we're going to look at inner work, or that work that we do to make us feel happier with our own self. It looks like we're having a hard time letting go of somebody here. There's somebody that we have some feelings for, not necessarily romantic, but I certainly wouldn't take that off the table either. But somebody that we have some feelings here, Virgo, and I think that comes up to me that you may be returning to this person because you're missing them. For some of you, I feel like maybe it's not like a possibility for you to return to them, but I still feel like you're missing them either way. Okay, and that's inner work, inner work, inner work. Next, we're looking at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded as you move through this time frame, Virgos. Okay, so what we have showing up here, I feel like I'm short. Hang on. Let's adjust that camera so I'm not just taking up half of the screen. Alright, so what we have going on here, Virgos, is there is some kind of fight that's happening, and it's making you feel left out in the cold whenever you're fighting with this person. And that feeling of being left out in the cold is causing you to make some kind of decision to help you move forward more productively. I do kind of get the sense that having this fight or this debate with this other person has given you a little bit more insight into this other person and how they think. And so having that insight is influencing this decision. Next thing we're looking at are those things that you stand for during this time frame. Does look like you have some choices about whether you want to enter into a contract or agreement or not. And you're really taking your time thinking about whether that's in alignment with what you want to do in your life. And so I think you're defending yourself to someone else. So you're saying, you know, I need this time to think about this. Now, how is this other person viewing you? They're seeing you as somebody who does have several options, and that shows up here too on these contracts that you're thinking about, that you do have several options, and they're seeing you as somebody who, they must be somebody offering you one of these contracts or commitments that you're thinking about, because just you taking your time on this is making them look at you like, okay, yeah, Mr. or Ms. Virgo has options, and they feel like you are skeptical about the option that they're putting forward, and they feel like you're really acting in an over-emotional way, like you're being over-dramatic. You're just making this a much bigger deal than it needs to be. They just think that, honestly, they just think that you should accept the option that they're giving you and be done with it. So they feel like you're being dramatic and pessimistic about their option, and they also recognize that you have other options as well. Okay, let's look next, Virgos. It's what is happening during your flex point during this time frame. This is where things start to go at least a little bit of a different direction, if not a whole different direction during this time frame. Let's see what we have here. There is definitely some truth coming out. And it has to do with work. And whatever this truth is that comes out, I think that it really relieves you. It's a big relief to you. So I'm liking that. This is a good thing. Some truth coming out about work that brings you some relief. Whoop, whoop. What else is going on at the same time, Virgos? I think you are going back to doing something on the side or on your own that you've done before, and that also is helping you to feel better and feel less sadness, to kind of heal up from something that's happened in the past. So you may be doing some kind of artistic creation that's helping you heal from the past. Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's writing, maybe it's painting, maybe it's singing. You get the picture. Something creative. Next thing that we have going on at the same time here. Yep. It looks to me like you're holding back on sharing your feelings with somebody. And this is somebody who's very outgoing, somebody who can talk to and can strike up a conversation with anybody wherever they go. Somebody who tries to be very cheerful and optimistic. They like to make other people laugh. Very good problem solvers. They definitely think outside the box, so they're not going to let culture or society or anybody else tell them how they should run their life. And I feel like you're holding back from this person because this may be the same person that was making you that offer earlier that we saw you were just wanting to wait and see. I think you're holding back from this person because I think you're expecting them to sort of turn. So where they're offering something that seems really good right now, I think you're expecting that with time, they're going to be a little bit flighty on that offer. Even if you take the offer up, you're worried that that offer may reverse itself and the person may just disappear after you have started believing in that offer. So you're holding back on this. You're holding back on this because you're not sure, how long this person really is going to be sincere in what they're offering to you. Okay, where do we see you at the end of this time frame, Virgos? Manifesting, oh goodness, we've got a couple of powerful cards here. You guys have the Empress and the High Priestess both together, plus the Ace of Spirals. So this is telling me that you guys have a new, exciting, inspirational idea that has to do with tapping into your psychic abilities or your alchemist abilities, and you're gonna be creating something. Once we get to the end of this week, you're gonna be creating something that is exciting, that you're gonna be following your intuition to create. Woot woot! What a great way to end the time frame, Virgos. Look at you, yay! Okay, so that is this particular time frame. Thank you for spending some of your time with me. I'm going to take a little break, and then I'll come back and we'll do the next portion of the month. Thank you guys for being here, and I will see you in a minute. Hello there, Virgos. Welcome back. This time we're going to be looking at the time frame from October 11th through the 17th. That's going to be basically a 1 week time frame there. And we'll see what's going on for you during this time. I like how we ended up last time. That was really nice. Nice to have those good endings. Let's see what we have. Okay, Virgos, let's start with your home environment. Well, let me just say your environment, any place where you have energy or effort invested. Usually it is home. Sometimes, though, it is some other place where you have energy or effort invested. So we should have our minds open to where it could be. It looks like you may be traveling. It looks like you're missing home, or you're feeling a little bit homesick, but you're back. You're traveling to a place that you've been before, and I think that you're traveling along with somebody else. So there's some kind of collaborative energy about this. So a little bit homesick, or a little bit, maybe you miss work. Either way, you're missing where you normally are, and I think you're collaborating with somebody else and going to... Yeah, actually, I'm going to take back the collaboration. You may or may not be collaborating with somebody else, but definitely traveling to a place where where you're familiar, a place that you're familiar with. Okay? Now, la da 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 da. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings during this time frame. Oh my goodness. Talk about being homesick. You're thinking about going back. You're thinking about going back. I think that you really miss work or a hobby or a project. You really miss an activity, and you want to go back to that activity. And I think that it's making it hard for you to really enjoy the place where you are right now. And that's what's going on in your subconscious leanings. La da 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 da. All right, let's look at learning style and also communication style during this particular time frame. I think you have to be very clever about some of the information that you're picking up right now. I don't think that it is easily found, or that somebody is just easily giving you information. It may be that you're having to almost pull some teeth to get some information out of somebody during this time frame. There are other things, though, that are coming straight up to the light. There are things that are coming to you that you're curious about, and that information is coming straight to you. No problems, no illusions, no hiccups. I really feel like one of the things that you're going to be learning about during this time frame is going to be something from the past, and I think it's going to have a little bit of a darker energy around it. This feels to me like it has to do with family. There's some kind of part of the family history that you may not have known about before that's going to be surfacing for you during this time frame. What's also going to be surfacing is the idea that this was something that was information that was not freely shared at that time, and even now it's still more or less shielded from public knowledge. Okay, so I don't know if this is something that happened that was illegal, something that happened that was immoral, but this is something that people in the family are not proud of, but it is part of the family history, and I think that this is coming out to you during this time frame. All right, let's look at your communication style. I feel like there's a lot of written or typed communication going on right now. To me, this is more than text messages. This is probably emails. This is more significant messaging than just quick text. So it could be emails. It could be official documentation that you're dealing with as well. I do feel like there is a lot of communication with other people around you. A lot of that communication is pretty much short and brief. I don't see where there's a lot of long communications, but there's multiple short type of communications happening. And I feel like, this communication could be happening with a lot of different people. All these shorter interactions could be happening with a whole lot of different people during this time frame. I almost get the sense, and this isn't going to be true for everybody, but I almost get the sense that there's been a death in the family and you guys have gone back to where that person used to live, and now you're dealing with maybe some type of legal documents like the will, and you're talking to all the people that cared about this person, and your energy is feeling really scattered as you're doing this. Now, that's not going to apply for everyone, but that's one scenario that I can see playing out here with the different details that are coming up. And if that applies to you, then my condolences on your loss. Let's look next at work during this time frame. Okay, so there is some good information that's coming in about money or about material goods to you, and you are having to make some decisions around security whenever we look at this time frame, around increasing security. Security not necessarily meaning like guards that watch at the door, but security as far as finances and making sure that everything is taken care of in a secure way so that things are not chaotic whenever it comes to finances and material goods. And so it looks to me like you may be the person who is sort of in charge of running that show. You may be taking that role on voluntarily, or somebody may have bestowed that role on you, but you are definitely the one taking the lead here and making these decisions about how things should be run in a secure and, I want to say, reliable manner. Some of you could be an executor of a will. Doesn't have to be that, but that's one way that it could play out. Okay. Let's look next at that part of your personality which is growing or expanding right now. It does come up to me that you just are not very happy right now. I think part of the reason that you're not very happy is because you're away from home. Here we have this sense of homesickness coming up. You want to be around your regular people and your regular tribe. And I think that I don't think that you feel very comfortable saying that to other people. I think everybody is sort of expecting you to feel a certain way or act a certain way, and so I feel like it would be not appropriate. A lot of people would view it as not appropriate, I should say, for you to mention that you're homesick, that you don't want to be where you are. So I think that you're actually holding that in, and so you're sort of forcing yourself to live a lie here on a certain extent, and that is just making the unhappiness actually even deeper. But I think you're missing somebody that you're separated from as you're away from home. All right, Virgos, next thing that we're looking at talks to me about something that you stand for. So, what do we have here? I do think that you have some information that's coming in that has to do with your regular income that is not making you very happy right now. I think part of the problem with you wanting to be back home is that you're not able to focus on your own project or maybe your own business. And so, you're getting news that that about the income on that business. It's not making you very happy because you're not able to put the energy and effort into that you normally would. Okay, even if that's just your regular job, that could apply as well. And I think you're standing up for the idea that, okay, well, I'm not happy, and this is why I'm not happy. I don't think it's that unreasonable to want to be able to make an income. How other people are seeing you as you're explaining this to them, they're seeing you as somebody who has a lot of strength, that's very positive, very outgoing, very much a can-do person, but they're seeing you as going through something that is potentially devastating if you let it be. And they're seeing that, you're kind of pouring out your resources right now, and they're seeing that as something that is bad news. It's a shakeup. Okay, so that's how they're seeing you right now. Let's look at your flex period. This is where things kind of start to turn around a little bit whenever we come to this particular time frame. They don't have to turn 180, they can just turn a few degrees, but definitely this is where things start to change somewhat for you. Okay, there is a lot of communication coming up here, definitely. Lots and lots and lots of communication is basically what I'm hearing as I look at this card from Spirit. And I think that you're getting a lot done. I think that this communication is helping you to get a lot done, to create a lot, even during a time when things are not easy. Okay, so Spirit is acknowledging that this is not an easy time for you, but in spite of it not being easy, you're still able to communicate with people and make things happen anyway. Now, what else is going on during this time frame? I think that you are feeling very vulnerable. There is this sense of depression that shows up, and we have literally grief showing up here, Virgo. So this really is confirming that there's a significant amount of you who are losing somebody. If you look at this card in a normal deck, it just talks about stress, but in this deck you can see it's a pretty much different depiction than the normal tarot for the Nine of Scrolls or the Nine of Air. So those of you who are familiar with tarot, you know that having somebody actually mourning at a grave monument is not normal. So when that comes up in this deck, to me, that does signify grief or great loss. So I do feel like there's some grief going on during this time frame. There may even be a literal funeral or memorial service that happens during this time frame, Virgos. And I'm sorry, I'm not singing or humming because I'm happy. It's just something that I do. I think Spirit gives me these melodies, and I'm hoping that they mean something to somebody because they don't mean anything to me. But I'm not trying to be offensive at all. But what's going on at the same time frame that we have all this communication going on, that you're making things happen even though it's a hard time, at the same time that you're grieving, there's fighting, there's debate going on. And I think this is part of what has you feeling depressed or down. It certainly doesn't have you motivated to get things accomplished. And I think that this fighting is with somebody who is dear to you, somebody who you love, that you have feelings for. Is it somebody who's in your life? Now that I don't really know. It doesn't really seem like it to me, although that definitely could be happening if there's somebody that you had to go away from to take care of this. But it also feels like for some of you it could be, instead of somebody romantic that you had to leave back at home, this could be somebody that is in your family. It feels like, for a lot of me, this feels like a younger brother is how it comes across to me. But a younger sibling, or, you know, somebody in the family for sure. But to me, specifically, it feels like a younger brother. Now, how many of you that's going to apply to, I don't know. But that's how it comes across. Male, younger than you. Let's see. Where do we see you at the end of this week? It's interesting. We see you surrounded by friends and by a nice, strong support network, which I'm really happy to see with everything that you're dealing with. I also see you still being lonely, missing somebody, maybe even returning to this person. By the end of the week, I kind of get the sense maybe that you may even be traveling back home. As a matter of fact, I just want to kind of clarify this, because I think maybe by the end of the week you're going back home to that person that you've been missing. Definitely surrounded by friends and support network, but of course that could be in the place that you used to live too. So that's why I just want to clarify this and see more about this situation. The person that you're missing is somebody who is in spirit only. Meaning they're no longer in a physical body. Yeah, I think if you're not home yet, you're definitely hoping to be home soon by the time we get to the end of this week. And I think that you are getting supportive messages. Yeah, I don't think you're home yet. I think you're hoping to be soon. You are getting supportive messages from somebody who cares greatly about you. And also I think that you've got some things worked out with work so that you've got pay still happening, which is nice. Which is really nice. Okay, so I don't know, for some of you, I don't think you're really actually home at this point. Probably for a lot of you, you're not actually home yet, but that is happening pretty soon. By the time the end of this week rolls around, this may be happening actually right up next week. But and for a few of you, I think you will be home, but mostly no. I'm thinking maybe 3 to 10% of you will actually be home. The rest of you will just be preparing to come home. Okay, so that's that week. That was a little bit of a rough one, guys. I'm going to go ahead and take a break, clear my energy, and come back, and we'll look at the next week. See you soon. Hello there, Virgo. We are back again. Yay! And this time we are looking at October 18th through the 24th. Thank you for being here with me. I do appreciate that. Let's see what kind of energies come up for you this time around. Alrighty, let's look at your environment first. Let's see if you've made it back home. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. Well, I can't tell from these cards if you're actually back home again or not, but I can tell you that you are carrying a lot of responsibility in your environment right now, and it does seem like things are uneven, like you're carrying the lion's share of the responsibilities. And I think there's a little bit of this sense of pity party going on here as you're doing that. So feeling sorry for yourself as you're carrying the lion's share of the responsibilities whenever it comes to your environment. Now, is that home? Is that not home? I'm not sure. You could be where you are still doing, or where you were last week, still carrying a lot of responsibilities, or it could be that you're coming back and you're going back to work and now you've got all this catch-up work and you've got those responsibilities and you're feeling sorry for yourself because nobody's really helping you out with that. Could be. So as we go through the spread, I think we'll see a little bit more unfold and we'll have a better idea of exactly what is happening there. Let's find out. Subconscious leanings during this particular time frame. So you do have a choice to make, and I think you feel like you've sort of been forced into making a choice to begin some kind of inspiring project. And I think you've been forced into this because basically you have some friends or somebody in your support network who's kind of getting on your nerves. And so the only way to get that situation to calm down is to begin this new project. And so I feel like you really did have a choice about whether you do it or not, but you felt like the only way to make things go the way you want them to in life right now is to move forward with the project. So you feel like there is not that much of a choice there. But that's what's going on in your subconscious. Subconscious. Next thing we're going to look at learning style and also communication style. You are finding out some new information, and you're using some of the new information to build on old information and to understand things at a deeper level. So you are learning something at more of an advanced level right now. I'm not sure if this is formal training or if this is School of Hard Knocks, but you're learning things at a more advanced level for sure right now. I do feel like there is an awful lot of information coming into you. A lot of this information may still have a hint of darkness or sadness around it, but there is, this information is actually transforming your perspective around something and how you think about something. And then what else do we have? What else do we have? I think you're learning how to be strong in the midst of great emotion. How I think you're learning about the idea of being the rock when everybody else is sort of falling apart as we go through this time frame as well. Now, next thing I'm looking at is communication style during this time frame. Once again, I do see a lot of written or typed communication. In this case, I feel like it's not just emails or written documents, although I feel like those are definitely there. I feel like there is also some text messaging and that type of stuff happening as well, more messaging on a personal level than what we saw last time. I also feel like, there's a lot of communication that has to do with emotions right now. You may actually even be sharing some tears with other people, or you may be, excuse me, you may be witness to other people crying. I feel like a lot of you are going to be sharing tears. I think when you see these other people cry or hear these other people cry on the phone or whatever the case may be, I think that's going to be something that makes you feel emotional and shed tears as well. Bum 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 bum. What else do we know about communication style? I really think that there's a lot going on as far as communication style where you're just going from intuition only. For some of you, I even get the sense that maybe your logic processes are a little bit turned off, and so everything may be running sort of on autopilot, in those intuitive nudges are the things that are kind of taking over whenever you're on autopilot. Okay, so that's communication and learning style during this time frame. As far as work. things are going better as far as work, and you are very self-sufficient, standing on your own here whenever it comes to work. Excuse me. There may be some travel involved with work. If there is, though, I feel like there are going to be some adjustments made to that travel. You may be putting it off or delaying it. So I would say that you are back home because you're getting to do the work that you want to do, and things are going more smoothly with that. And because you're delaying travel, I think you're back home and you're working. You're doing pretty well, even if you are having to play catch up massively. Oh, I didn't look at inner work. Let's look at that too. I think inner work really here is staying on top of your manifestation game in spite of everything that's going on sort of in the background of your life. Still looking at what you're doing out in the world in a positive light and expecting good results from what you're doing out in the world. So that's your inner work. Looking next at that part of your personality that is growing or expanding during this time frame, Virgos. La da 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 da. Looks to me like there's somebody showing up from your past. Does not have to be a romantic person, but it could be. But this is a person you've had some type of relationship with, whether it was a business partnership, friendship, romantic, whatever. But this person is coming back from the past, and I feel like they're coming back in a very charming way, very energetic way. They are trying to make you laugh, make you happy. Beware of them because they are full of bunk. They're lying. They are lying their butts off to you. Okay, so you want to pay attention. You want to not let whatever's going on in the background of your life that has you emotionally in a funk, you don't want to let that cloud your vision about this person who comes in such a positive, optimistic, cheerful, maybe even flirting type of way. You want to recognize that, I think this person is obviously from the past. You want to recognize that you know what their number is already. You know that they're less than honest. So don't sweep that under the rug because it's just going to cost you more later if you do, and just try to pretend everything's okay and even right now. Things that you stand up for. Ooh, I don't think I needed to say what I just said. I think you're going to be having a fit about this person coming back from the past. And yeah, I think you're going to be having an absolute fit about this person. And I think that this fit is going to get you exactly the results that you want. It's interesting how this shows up here. I kind of feel like this is going to make this person go away when you have this emotional explosion or this fit. I think that's going to make this person go away, and I think you're going to feel very successful. You're going to feel like that was a victory, that was a triumph, that you were able to make this person go away. Okay? Now, how does somebody else see you whenever you explain this to them, that this was a triumph, that you're happy, that that was exactly what you wanted? They do see you as somebody who manifests whatever it is that you want in life. But they kind of feel like that you do have attraction for this other person, you know, whether it's romantic or otherwise, and that you actually would like to have a break from pushing away at them so hard. That's really an interesting take on things there. Makes me wonder why they see that so differently than you do. All right, let's look next at your flex point during this time frame. Something is coming up to the surface that was not there before, some type of truth. There was an illusion there before. People were covering things up. And I think you have taken the time to really soak in this truth and pay attention to it. I don't think you're sweeping it under the rug at all. You're paying great attention to this, and you're thinking about this too. You're thinking about the ramifications of this and the consequences of this. And because of this truth, you are deciding that you want to be released from a contract or an agreement. And so you want out of whatever this is that's tied to this truth. You want out of whatever ties you to that situation. What's going on at the same time? It's interesting here. I feel like you don't feel like you've been left out in the cold anymore, where you kind of did before. And I feel like you are probably doing a little shopping therapy from the way this is coming up here. And I think that some of the things that you're shopping for are not really even things that you need or even that you want. All right. What else is happening? You're letting go of some kind of negative influence that's been holding you back or dragging you down. And you're moving forward. You are able to create the things that you want, and you really don't let society or culture tell you how you should do things. And so you are moving forward with your own solutions to what's been going on, and you're not really worried about what other people have to say about it. And it looks to me like you've kind of known that this was gonna happen. I don't think that this came as a surprise to you. And I think that since that didn't come as a surprise to you, that's why you're able to continue to move forward. I think you've already been making plans and taking action, knowing that this was a day that was going to come sooner or later anyway. So you're just continuing forward with those plans. This isn't like you're having to set new plans in action here. So where do we see you at the end of this week? We see you shutting down communication with somebody. You're not interacting with them at all. At all. And basically you're tell me a little bit more about what you want me to know about this card. I feel like you're really going into yourself, where normally you're more socially outgoing and able to be cheerful and optimistic in other people's rock. I think you're more going in to your own self and your own thoughts and taking care of yourself, figuring out what your priorities are. And I think you're even taking some time really to grieve and to sort of allow yourself to release some of those feelings around the loss that you've been dealing with. You've kind of had to be everybody's anchor and everybody's rock. Well, now you're taking the time, you know, now that things have calmed down a little bit, you're taking the time to just release some of those feelings for yourself and to allow yourself to start to heal moving forward. Okay? So that's really, it's a rough place, it's a hard place. Whenever we're healing, it's always hard, but it's good because it's healthy to have those kinds of releases. And sometimes the only way we can do that is to get other people out of our sphere of influence, away from us. And it looks like that's what you're doing. You're just taking the time to take care of you. So I am really happy to see that, even though it's not the most daisies and cotton candy ending. I'm happy to see that coming up as the ending for this time frame, Virgos, for you. So let me go ahead, take a break. I'll come back and we'll finish out the month. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you soon. Hello again, Virgo. We're here to look at the last part of October for you now, October 25th through the 31st. Let's take a peek, take a peek, take a peek and see what kind of energy is flowing for my Virgos. Here we go. All right, Virgos, let's start off with your environment during this time frame. What do we have coming up? Okay, it looks like you're sharing your environment with 3 people, actually. So I don't know if this is going to be home or if this is going to be work, but it looks like you are sharing your environment with somebody who is very nurturing, very uplifting, somebody who may have sort of a mother hen type of energy. Doesn't have to be female, can be male. Probably more of a feminine energy though. Somebody who is pretty intuitive. She kind of seems to know things, especially about the way people around her feel, and she comes off as wise. To me, she feels like she's kind of in the crone stage of things, where she's had some experiences and she's able to guide and advise people. Second person that you're sharing your environment with during this point in time is somebody who is a little bit hard to pin down. This is somebody who's going to be a little bit younger, possibly a male, but doesn't have to be. I feel like for a lot of you this is actually going to be a female, but it's a younger person, and this is somebody who they don't really like to commit to anything because they're afraid that if they commit to something and then a better offer comes along, then that puts them in a tough position. And so if you're trying to schedule something with them, you may be having a little bit of a difficult time with that. They're just really, it's really hard to get a commitment from them or to get things done. This is somebody who can be coming in late all the time, somebody who is just a little, you can't really count on them. They're not reliable is what I'm seeing here, basically, in a nutshell. And then we have another person who may be also a younger energy. This one may be a little bit more feminine than the last one. And this is somebody who, I think they're unreliable, but there's a certain flavor to their unreliableness. I think part of the reason why they're unreliable is because they're feeling blue, or they're kind of depressed, and so they're not feeling very motivated to get much done or to do anything. So those are people that you're sharing your environment with during this last week of October. Next thing we're going to look at is your subconscious leanings during this time frame, Virgos. There is something that you are really, really, really putting a lot of thought into. And it looks to me like you've taken some time to kind of get off by yourself and think about this situation, maybe even meditate about it. And you're coming back around people and interacting with people, but you still are holding off on making any kind of decision about, and this has to do with the idea of something that you moved away from, some kind of negative impact or negative influence that was on your life you had moved away from. I think you're thinking about allowing that back in, whether it's a psychic vampire or a work situation or whatever, a toxic friendship. You're considering letting that back in, but there's a lot of hesitation here. And so your subconscious is really working on this situation. I feel like it's working overtime on that situation. La da da da. What are we looking at next? Next we're looking at your learning style and also your communication style. So learning style is looking pretty good. You are coming across a lot of new information. Some of it is happiness making. Some of it is actually changing your perspective around things. You're coming into a more positive perspective than what you had before for some of these things that you're learning. We do still show you learning some things that are of a little bit of a darker nature or more heavy energy. That is information that you're finding out about. Let's look at communication. I think with some people that you're communicating with, there's a little bit of, this is how I see it. I think you're keeping your boundary up with somebody who's trying to communicate with you and who's interacting with you, and they're trying to be very cheerful and happy, and they're trying everything they can to get your attention in a very positive way. And I think that your boundary is up. You're just like, no, not having that right now. Ba-da-da-da-ba. I think for your communication style right now, you're kind of like a cat. If you feel like talking to somebody, you will. If you don't, you won't. There's not anybody that's going to force you to have a conversation at this particular moment. If you want to be off and be alone and do your own thing, then that's what you're going to do. I also feel like there is some communication going on between yourself and family or people that you feel very close to. But these are going to be people that, not somebody new that you feel close to, somebody who's, people who you've known for a long, long time. I think you're going to be communicating with them at a very deep level. Okay? La da, la da, 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 da. Next thing we're looking at is work. The work is never done. That's the first thing that comes to mind as I look at your first card. But I do feel like, in spite of the fact that the work is never done, it always goes on, there's always more to do, I do feel like when it comes to work, you're surrounded by a very supportive team, a supportive network. And so I think as far as everybody pulling together and having unity at work, I see that going along very well. And I do see you have some choice around work. I don't know if this is like a choice of what team you're going to be on, or a choice of whether you're going to stay where you are or take a different job, but there's some kind of choice that you're going to be needing to make around work during this time frame. And for this choice, there really isn't a wrong answer or a bad answer. Either way that you go is going to be good. So nothing really to stress out about here. Let's look at inner work. You do have a choice to make as far as inner work goes about somebody from the past who you used to consider a friend until something happened that made you look at them otherwise. And I think that this person really wants to come back into your life in the old status as a friend. And your inner work is really to choose, is that the wisest thing that I could do, or is it not? You know, how long am I going to hold on to a grudge? You know, is it wise for me to hold on to this grudge, or is it better for me to let this person back into my life and recognize that they made a mistake, that they're human? You know, which way is going to be the best way for you to go? And I feel like the answer to that is different for each one of you. I don't feel like I can tell you that here in this general reading. But of course, if you want to have more insight to that, then the key to that would be to get a private reading. And of course, if you're going to get a private reading anyway, pick me. I love to do readings. Okay, so let's look next at that part of your personality which is growing or expanding right now. I feel like things aren't going exactly the way that you want them to or the way you've planned, but in spite of that, I feel like it's in spite of that, that you're walking away from something that was leaving you feeling depleted and not replenishing you in any way, that you were putting in much more energy than you were getting back from this thing. And you're moving towards I don't know if I want to say you're moving towards training. I think that's going to apply for some of you, but not all of you. You're moving towards educating yourself. You're moving towards, if you're not moving, for those of you who are not moving towards educating yourself, you are moving towards being more logical and making more logical decisions instead of heart-based decisions, Virgo. And just looking at things more with the bottom line, or the overall mission in mind, rather than yeah, just kind of getting the big picture. So you are moving towards either acting in a more logical way and away from something that was holding you back, Maybe you were acting in a more emotional, motivated way, and that was not getting you the results that you wanted. Like you were just putting out way too much energy for what you were getting back. And so now you've decided to do some things that actually kind of make sense when you look at them, so that you're not depleted and you are getting replenished. Okay, so that's where you're growing or expanding during this time frame, making some changes in what you're doing for who and how. La da 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 da. Next thing we're looking at are those things that you stand for. There is somebody that you miss, and your mood is kind of in a funk because of this. I feel like you don't exactly know what to do to get out of this funk, and I think that you're going to be going to some kind of healer to help you with this, whether this is a grief counselor, whether this is a therapist, whether this is a Reiki master or a Reiki practitioner, or somebody who does shamanic medicine, a homeopath. There's something going on here where you're missing somebody, and it's interfering with the energy level that you have and with your peace. And so I think you're actually consulting with some kind of expert for help with that. If you're going to get Reiki, once again, pick me. All right, and I think that somebody even this is something that you're standing for, what we're looking at right there. So somebody's going to be giving you a hard time about this. But remember, you're deciding to do things logically, so you're not worried about their hard time, right? Okay, how is this other person perceiving you right now? They're seeing you as somebody who is acting on their intuition, somebody that is getting over a heartache or a grief, and they're also seeing you as somebody that, what I'm getting is they're seeing you as somebody that this whole experience has changed you, and they feel like it has corrupted you in some way. They feel like because of everything that you've gone through, now you feel like you can take other people for granted, or you can sort of use them or abuse them as you're healing up and as you're following your intuition. So it's interesting because normally people following their intuition are not so much abusive or whatever to somebody else, but they're seeing you as, at least I would like to think they're not, but they're seeing you as somebody who can be emotionally abusive. But the thing is, with this showing up as you getting over some kind of sadness or grief, I think that they're also seeing you as not really aware that you're doing that because of the emotions that you're dealing with. You're just having a hard time seeing past your own nose, is what I think they're perceiving about you. I mean, I'm not saying if they're right or they're wrong. You would know that. I don't. But that's their perception. Okay, so next thing that we're looking at is your flex period during this time frame. This is where things start to change. We've got a couple of cards indicating travel. I do think that you're going to travel, and you may be traveling to multiple locations, actually. Multiple locations. You guys may be doing speaking for, well, not all of you, but some of you are doing speaking engagements at multiple locations, or you're being asked to speak in multiple locations. What else is going on at the same time? You do have a partnership, an agreement, a contract with somebody where you're working towards the same goals together. This could be a marriage, it could be a business partnership, but there's something that is fishy going on here, and I think you're realizing that there's something fishy happening here, but you're not quite able to put your fingertips on the information that's missing or that's not being divulged at this point. And I think that just even having this feeling without knowing what it is that you're not being told is making you feel really disappointed as you go through this time frame, Virgos. Now, let's see. What else is going on? there is somebody that you're collaborating with, and this is somebody that you're really enjoying either this collaboration itself or collaborating with this person, maybe the whole ball of wax, and you're getting a whole lot of satisfaction from whatever this is. Now this can be band practices, this can be working on a project for work, this could even be dating somebody and planning dates and going on them together. That could be considered collaboration. But I'm seeing a lot of satisfaction and enjoyment come out of this situation, whatever it happens to be for you. And like I said earlier, if you want specific information, then the general readings are not the place to be. You really want to get a private reading to get the specific information about you in particular. And of course I do offer those and love to do those. Okay, let's look at where we see you ending up at the end of the month. There is something that you did in the past, or you participated in the past, and it kind of got put on the back burner for a while. Excuse me. Get a little more there. Sorry guys, swallowed dust, didn't want to cough a lot. So anyway, there was something that you put on the back burner before that you used to do or you used to participate in. You're going to be bringing that back out and paying attention to that again and working with it. And really almost to an obsessive degree. Like this is going to be all you think about or all you talk about for a while. And it looks to me like the reason you're bringing this up in such an obsessive way is because you're disappointed about something that has happened and you're feeling I think for a lot of you, you're feeling like you don't have enough resources around you, and whatever this is that you're starting and you're obsessing about, restarting and obsessing about is something that brings in more resources to you. And so I feel like that is why you're being so obsessive with it, like you're really pedaling hard to get this thing back up off the ground again like it used to be, because you're motivated. You want the results of that. Okay, so that's what I see coming up for you Virgos for the month of October. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it. Thank you for all the thumbs ups on this video and for sharing this video with others who may find it beneficial as well. Of course, also thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings from me on private Reiki sessions. It is because of all of you guys' support at every single level that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. So thank you very much. Everybody have a fantastic month. If I don't see you for a private reading before the next video, then I'll see you back here the next time. Peace out.